5 minutes ago, a story detonated across Hollywood that feels too dark, too personal, and too explosive to ignore. And before anyone could catch their breath, timelines were already flooding with shock, confusion, and outright disbelief. What's being described as a fictionalized Hollywood tragedy report has ignited panic not because of what's confirmed, but because of what insiders claim is about to surface. And the details? They're chilling enough to make even seasoned industry veterans go silent. According to rapidly spreading whispers, a beloved Hollywood power couple, long seen as untouchable, respected, and emotionally bulletproof, has been pulled into a nightmarish scenario filled with secrecy, fractured trust, and a chain of events that insiders say unfolded behind closed doors. Late-night arguments, unanswered calls, conflicting timelines, and a private household suddenly becoming the center of a storm no one saw coming. What's fueling the chaos is a list, 7 specific details allegedly pulled from internal reports, leaked messages, and sources close to the situation. Each detail more disturbing than the last. Each one reframing what people thought they knew. Social media is already spiraling, with fans dissecting every old interview, every smiling red carpet appearance, every quote that now feels ominous in hindsight. Industry figures are reacting in cryptic ways, some posting single words, others deleting entire accounts. A few quietly warning that this story is far more complex and far more devastating than the headlines suggest. Because if even half of what's being whispered is true, this isn't just a tragedy. It's a reckoning, and the first detail alone is enough to change everything. The first shock didn't come from a headline, it came from the silence. For nearly an hour after the initial alert hit, no official statement appeared, no spokesperson stepped forward, and no trusted outlet could confirm what was actually happening. That vacuum is where panic lives. And inside that silence, the whispers began to take shape, sharp and specific enough to terrify anyone paying attention. According to multiple fictionalized insider accounts, the tragedy tied to legendary filmmaker Caleb Reiner and his wife Mara didn't begin that night. It began weeks earlier, hidden beneath polite smiles, carefully curated appearances, and a holiday schedule designed to keep everything looking normal. Friends say the couple had been under visible strain, but nothing that screamed disaster. Just tension, just distance. Just the kind of quiet unease people dismiss until it's too late. The first leaked detail claims the final night started at a private industry gathering hosted by a late-night comedy icon. No cameras, no press. A room full of powerful people letting their guard down. Witnesses reportedly noticed Caleb seemed distracted, while Mara stayed unusually quiet. But the person who drew the most attention wasn't either of them. It was someone close, someone familiar, someone whose presence shifted the mood in ways no one could explain at the time. Sources say that individual moved through the room like a shadow, watching conversations instead of joining them, asking abrupt questions, standing too close, making seasoned Hollywood veterans suddenly remember how vulnerable privacy really is. A few guests allegedly exchanged looks, others quietly repositioned themselves. At the time, it felt awkward. Now, it feels ominous. The second shocking detail surfaced when insiders claimed the couple left the gathering early, not together, and not calmly. A heated exchange reportedly took place near the driveway, voices lowered but emotions clearly high. One witness claims Mara was trying to de-escalate, while Caleb looked exhausted, frustrated, and deeply concerned. The argument ended abruptly. The car doors closed, and just like that, the moment disappeared into the night, or so everyone thought. The third detail is where the story turns cold. After returning home, the household reportedly went quiet, too quiet. According to a reconstructed timeline that's now circulating among fictional investigators, there were no outgoing calls, no messages, no activity for several hours. The kind of stillness that only gets noticed after something has already gone wrong. Then comes the fourth detail, the one social media can't stop replaying. A security camera from a nearby street allegedly captured a familiar figure entering the property late at night without hesitation. No forced entry, no alarm triggered, just the ease of someone who knew exactly where they were going, exactly how to move, exactly how long they had. Insiders claim this is the moment everything changed. What followed, according to the fifth leaked detail, was not chaos but control. Forensic-style analysis circulating online suggests the incident inside the home was not brief, not accidental, and not impulsive. Experts reviewing the fictional scenario say the patterns point to sustained confrontation, close proximity, repeated actions. the kind that require intention, familiarity, and emotional intensity rather than panic. The sixth detail shattered what little comfort remained. A household item, something ordinary, something always present, is said to have played a role. Not brought in, not planned in advance, just there. Which means no preparation was needed beyond knowing the space, knowing the routines, knowing the people. That realization hit the public like a punch to the chest, because familiarity changes everything. The seventh and final detail didn't come from the scene, it came from what happened afterward. Hours later, while the world slept, the same figure allegedly appeared miles away, behaving calmly enough to blend in, buying something small, speaking to no one, leaving no obvious trail. By the time anyone realized something was wrong back at the house, that window had already closed. When emergency services were finally called, the situation was described by insiders as overwhelming. Not just because of what was found, but because of what it implied. A home once associated with creativity, laughter, and decades of legacy now felt unrecognizable. A place of comfort transformed into the center of a nightmare no one wanted to believe. Social media exploded within minutes of these details leaking. Hashtags trended globally. Old interviews were rewatched with new eyes. Fans pointed out moments that suddenly felt off. Quotes that now sounded like warnings. Photos that no longer looked happy, just staged. Celebrity reactions poured in, some emotional, some vague, some eerily silent. One high-profile actor posted a single word, devastated. Another deleted their entire account. A third wrote, "There's more to this than people know." And that's when the fear set in, because insiders say what's been leaked so far is only the surface, that there are messages, audio, a timeline still being pieced together. And most unsettling of all, questions about why this unfolded the way it did, and whether it could have been stopped. As night fell again, one anonymous account posted a sentence that sent chills through every comment section it touched. Everyone is focused on the scene. No one is talking about what happened earlier that evening. That post vanished minutes later. And just like that, the narrative cracked open wider, because if the earlier moments hold the real answers, then everything we think we know is about to be rewritten. By the time the second wave of information hit, the story stopped feeling like a tragedy and started feeling like a carefully buried secret clawing its way out. What terrified people wasn't just what allegedly happened inside the house. It was the realization that the warning signs had been everywhere, hiding in plain sight, ignored because no one wanted to believe something this dark could exist behind such a polished legacy. According to newly circulating fictionalized insider leaks, the tension inside the Reiner household had been escalating for months, not days. Friends now claim there were arguments that never made it past closed doors. Long pauses in conversations, canceled appearances blamed on exhaustion. And one detail that's now being re-examined relentlessly, Mara had allegedly confided to a close friend that she felt like she was living with a stranger who knew the house better than anyone. At the time, it sounded metaphorical. Now, it feels terrifyingly literal. The next bombshell came in the form of alleged text messages. Screenshots began circulating from a burner account claiming to belong to someone inside the couple's inner circle. The messages showed concern, not panic, sent hours before the incident. Lines like, "Something feels off tonight," and "If this blows up, it won't be an accident." No names, no direct accusations. Just enough dread to make people sick. The account vanished within 20 minutes. Then came the confrontation no one wants to talk about. Insiders claim that after the party, a heated exchange took place inside the house that was never meant to escalate. Raised voices, accusations, a breakdown of control that had been held together by routine for years. One source described it as the moment denial collapsed. Another said, that argument wasn't about the night. It was about everything. What followed, according to the reconstructed timeline, was a chilling pause, not a struggle, not screams, just silence. The kind that follows when someone realizes words won't fix what's already broken. This is where the story takes its most disturbing turn. Forensic-style analysis from fictional experts suggests that what happened next required time, not seconds, not minutes. Time, movements that indicate restraint, decisions made more than once. A situation that unfolded through stages, not impulse. And that distinction matters because it separates accident from intent in the court of public opinion, even in fiction. As this interpretation spread, the internet turned savage. People began dissecting old interviews, freezing frames where Caleb spoke about family pressure, about legacy, about carrying weight no one else could see. Clips resurfaced of Mara joking about managing chaos at home that no longer sounded like humor. Fans started connecting dots that may or may not exist, but once dots are drawn, they don't disappear. Then came the alleged audio, not released, not confirmed, just described. Multiple anonymous users claim to have heard a recording from earlier that night, a voice shaking, a plea to calm down. Another voice cold, clipped, unnervingly controlled. No context, no proof, but the descriptions were consistent enough to ignite panic. If audio exists, people asked, why hasn't it been released? And if it hasn't been released, who's holding it? Celebrity reactions added fuel to the fire. One prominent director posted, "Some houses hold decades of love, others hold decades of silence." Another wrote, "Hollywood protects its own until it can't." A famous comedian reportedly canceled a public appearance without explanation, sparking rumors they knew more than they were saying. Every vague post became evidence. Every deletion became suspicious. And then the betrayal angle surfaced. According to another fictional leak, someone inside the extended family had raised concerns weeks earlier and was dismissed. Labeled dramatic, overreacting, told to mind their business. That person allegedly reached out again after the party and received no response. Their silence now feels like guilt by proximity in the eyes of the internet. The story spiraled when legal speculation entered the conversation. People began questioning how defense teams move in cases like this. Who pays? Who controls the narrative? Who decides what information becomes public and what stays buried under sealed documents? Analysts online pointed out that wealth doesn't just buy lawyers, it buys time. Time to shape perception. Time to let outrage cool. Time to decide which version of events survives. That idea enraged fans. Hashtags demanding transparency trended globally. Others pushed back, accusing the public of exploiting a tragedy for entertainment. The internet fractured into camps, those demanding answers at any cost, and those warning that speculation itself can destroy lives. But the louder the debate became, the clearer one thing felt. The truth, whatever it was, hadn't been fully told. Then came the most unsettling leak yet. A fictional source claimed that a key moment from earlier in the evening, before the party, before the argument, had been deliberately left out of the timeline. A private conversation, a discovery, something seen or heard that changed the emotional temperature of the entire night. The source refused to elaborate, only adding, "Once that piece is known, everything else makes sense." That single line sent shockwaves through every discussion thread. People began asking new questions. What happened before anyone arrived at the party? What happened before voices were raised? What if the confrontation wasn't spontaneous at all, but the result of something uncovered, something that couldn't be undone once known? The burner account that posted this vanished within minutes, but not before thousands took screenshots. As night fell, the tone shifted again. No more memes, no jokes, just unease. Because when stories start pointing backward instead of forward, it means the real trigger hasn't been revealed yet. And insiders now claim investigators, both fictional and imagined, are focusing less on the scene itself and more on the hours leading up to it. The past, it seems, may be the most dangerous part of all. And just when everyone thought the leaks had peaked, a final message appeared on a private forum frequented by industry insiders. One sentence, no explanation. Everyone keeps asking how it happened. No one is asking what was discovered. The post was removed almost immediately. But by then, it was too late, because now the story isn't just about a tragedy, it's about a secret powerful enough to ignite it. And if that secret comes out, it won't just rewrite the timeline. It will change who people blame. And that revelation, insiders warn, is still coming. By the time the third wave began, the story no longer belonged to the leaks. It belonged to the fear of what hadn't been shown yet. The conversation online slowed, not because interest faded, but because people sensed they were circling something volatile. Something that, once exposed, couldn't be walked back. And insiders claimed the pressure behind the scenes had reached a breaking point. According to fictionalized internal whispers, legal teams began moving quietly, not to announce anything, but to prevent something from surfacing. Requests were allegedly made. Calls were returned after months of silence. Old favors were suddenly remembered. That kind of movement only happens when someone knows a piece of information exists that could collapse the carefully constructed narrative in seconds. The focus turned to one missing gap in the timeline, a narrow window before the party, before the argument, before the night spiraled. A window that investigators in this fictional account reportedly described as emotionally catalytic. something was said, or shown, or discovered. And once it happened, the night was already lost. Then came the most chilling rumor yet. An anonymous post claimed there was a private recording captured earlier that evening, not audio from inside the house, but something far more damaging. A video message, a confession, or possibly proof of a betrayal that reframed every argument that followed. The post didn't say what was on it, only that multiple people had seen it, and that it explained the sudden shift in everyone's behavior. Hollywood reacted instantly, but quietly. Meetings were postponed, appearances canceled. Entire projects went on pause without explanation. A respected producer allegedly told a colleague, "If this drops, it won't just end careers, it'll end friendships." That line spread faster than any screenshot because it suggested the damage wouldn't be limited to one household. It would ripple outward. Fans began rewatching old footage again, but this time looking for something different, not tension, but guilt. Smiles held too long, laughs that ended too fast. Moments where someone looked away just a second too late. Confirmation bias took over, and once it does, truth becomes secondary to belief. Then the breakdown started. A longtime friend of the family reportedly collapsed emotionally when questioned privately about the events leading up to that night. According to a fictional insider, they kept repeating the same sentence. "I thought it would blow over." That phrase haunted the internet. Blow over what? A fight? A discovery? A truth that couldn't stay buried? At the same time, another fictional leak claimed a document existed, not a will, not a legal filing, but something deeply personal. A letter, an email, a message never meant to leave a private device. The kind of thing written in a moment of clarity or desperation. Something that could explain why voices were raised and why restraint allegedly dissolved into something far darker. Speculation reached a fever pitch. Some believed the secret involved infidelity. Others suspected financial betrayal. A few darker theories suggested long-standing resentments that had been ignored for years finally collided with an irreversible revelation. The internet argued endlessly, but insiders kept repeating the same warning. The truth wouldn't be what people expected, and that's why it was being delayed. Then came the confrontation that never happened on camera. According to a final fictionalized insider account, two people who hadn't spoken in years allegedly met privately after the incident. No lawyers, no phones, just raw emotion. The meeting reportedly ended with one of them saying, "If this gets out, everything burns." That line leaked, spread, and vanished, but not before it set comment sections on fire. At this point, even skeptics felt uneasy. Because if nothing existed, there would be denials. There would be statements. There would be clarity. Instead, there was strategy, silence, carefully chosen absences, and that silence felt intentional, not shocked. A new wave of celebrity reactions followed. One veteran actor posted, "Some truths are too heavy to carry alone." Another wrote, "Families break quietly before they break publicly." A third simply posted a black screen, no caption, no explanation. The lack of specificity only deepened suspicion. Then the most unnerving claim yet surfaced. A fictional source alleged that the final hours of that night included a moment of hesitation, a chance to stop what was unfolding, and that moment was missed because of pride, because of fear, because of the belief that consequences could be managed later. That claim enraged the internet because it suggested this wasn't inevitable, it was preventable. As outrage peaked, the platform hosting many of the early leaks began removing posts en masse. Threads disappeared, accounts went private. Screenshots became the only proof anything had been said at all. People accused shadow suppression. Others warned against mob mentality. The chaos fed itself, and then just as suddenly the noise dropped. No new leaks, no new posts, no updates. An eerie calm settled in, the kind that precedes either resolution or catastrophe. Insiders said everyone involved was waiting for the same thing, a decision, whether to release the missing piece or bury it forever. Late that night, one final message appeared in a closed industry forum. No username, no context. Just a timestamp and a sentence that stopped people cold. Once the missing detail is public, no one will argue about what happened, only about why it was hidden. The message was deleted within seconds, but the damage was done. Because now the question isn't whether the story will continue, it's how. Will the truth surface through a leak, a courtroom, a confession, or will it remain locked away, known only to those who were there, while the public is left to argue in the dark? What began as a tragedy has transformed into a reckoning about power, secrecy, and the cost of silence. And insiders warn that the final reveal, if it comes, won't bring closure. It will bring fallout. Because some secrets don't just explain what happened, they explain why everything afterward had to be controlled. And the moment that missing detail emerges, the entire story will shift again, violently, permanently, and in ways no one is ready for yet. If you've made it this far, don't look away now, because stories like this don't end cleanly, and they never resolve when people stop paying attention. What you just watched isn't a conclusion. It's the calm before the next fracture. The kind of silence that only exists when something is being weighed behind closed doors. Release it or bury it forever. This is exactly the moment where the truth either surfaces or disappears. So hit like right now, not casually. Intentionally, because engagement is what keeps stories alive when pressure starts building to make them vanish. Subscribe immediately, because if that missing detail drops, it won't come with a warning or a headline. It'll leak suddenly, and the people who are tuned in will be the only ones who understand how it connects to everything you've already seen. Turn on notifications. This isn't optional. When the next update hits, it won't wait for you to catch up. And once the narrative shifts again, because it will, you'll either be ahead of it or reacting too late. Now get in the comments. What do you think is being hidden? A betrayal? A discovery? A moment that changed everything before the night ever began? Do you believe silence here is about protection or control? And if the missing piece finally comes out, who do you think it implicates the most? Because this story isn't just about what happened. It's about why the truth keeps hesitating. Stay locked in, stay alert. The next reveal won't be gentle, and you don't want to miss it.